This your boy Icy Swan. We doing the artist segment with NFL player / artist Aaron Maybin.
What's going on?
Nice for the president. So what inspired you to do art, Aaron?
I mean, I've always done it, you know what I mean? It's something that, you know, I've basically done since I was a kid. Even when I was younger, I, you know, basically was creating before I was doing anything else, you know, even playing sports and things like that. So, you know, it was something that was kind of more so just a part of me, not anything, any one incident necessarily that just inspired me to pick up things and start creating. It just kind of came natural to me.
Right. So when you first started painting, what's going through your head?
By the time I start something, I pretty much know the direction that I kind of want to go with it. Usually, I'll let it blank, like, you know, before I got started with this canvas, it was just a blank, you know, sheet that was just hanging on the wall. And, you know, I just sat there with it for a few days. And then once I, you know, felt the authentic piece of inspiration, I just, you know, started going on it. As a matter of fact, it was Big's birthday. That's what it was. I happened to be listening to one of his songs in the morning, doing one of my sketches, and somebody in the house let me know. They were like, hey, it's his birthday today. So I felt like that was inspiration enough. Started working on the canvas that day, and now we here.
Right. So when you wake up in the morning, do you like know what type of painting you want to work on? Or?
Nah. You know, like there are those rare occasions where you have, you know what I mean, an authentic source of inspiration. Just, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you decide that this is what you're going to do. But mostly, you know, I'll get up, I'll do a couple little sketches, and, you know, if I have, you know, high-up canvases at my disposal, I'll just, you know, start working in ideas. You know what I mean? I'll put something on one canvas, and then I'll throw something on another one. And as I get different ideas fed to me, you know what I mean, I'll just continue to add more and more to them until I have a collection of little, you know what I mean, pieces that I've been able to do.
I was reading your TMZ article. You were saying that it was like one of your biggest exhibits by 2 other pieces.
Yeah.
What was the 2 pieces?
I mean, the pieces that sold were just more so portraiture pieces, but it was more so the experience of the show and, you know what I mean, the reception that I got, you know what I mean, from the community of artists that were in attendance, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me as an athlete at that point in time, you know, of course I had always created and I always took my artwork seriously, but I guess I never really saw myself, you know what I mean, as being able to associate with certain circles until I kind of got that validity from the art community, you know, and that was kind of my first experience with that, where I kind of felt like I got a little bit of acceptance, you know what I mean, because for an athlete, it's kind of hard for most athletes that are interested in the arts, because obviously, you know, when you think of an athlete, that's probably the furthest thing from your mind that you would think somebody would be interested in. But, you know, for me, it's always been something that I've been serious about. But as an athlete, you know, it's rare that people in the art community take you seriously until you have like certain accomplishments under your belt. And, you know, those are finally starting to come now with, you know, with my new path that I've taken recently.
You think you gotta work twice as hard because you're an athlete to be respected as an artist?
It's nice to finally not be seen as the athlete in the room. You know, just to be accepted as, you know, one of the artists, or, you know, for people to meet me, and some people know nothing about the athletic side now. Some people literally just follow my artwork. Like, that to me is pretty cool, because as an athlete, you've always kind of been put into your box your entire career.
Right, because I didn't know about you being an athlete. I only knew you as an artist.
Exactly, like, I love that.
And so I started to read and like research about you.
Yeah, it's you know what I mean, it's something that I've never really put on Front Street about myself, like, just like I said, because, you know, people are quick to stereotype you, you know, as being a certain type of person just because of your profession. You know, so I've always introduced myself as an artist, and whenever I meet people, that's typically what I go with when they ask me what you do. But now it's actually true.
So
before it was me, you know what I mean, just putting on the front.
So are you going to pursue art 100%?
I started doing my art full time last year. So for this, for this entire year so far, I've just been focusing on my art. Football's not even really in my frame of mind right now.
Oh, so no more football at all?
I haven't retired officially yet because I'm 25. Nobody would really believe it, but you know what I mean, as far as football is concerned, I'm not really thinking about it.
So as far as fashion, how does it inspire you? Your parents give us in the Yeezys for?
It's not necessarily fashion that inspires it. It's culture. You know what I mean? A lot of times in my artwork, I'll use different aesthetics to kind of point towards elements of society that I find either comical or hypocritical, or, you know what I mean, I find just to be interesting conversation topics. When you talk about fashion as it relates to hip hop culture, you know, I just think it's interesting, just the same way I said people are quick to try to stereotype you. When you think about when you were a kid, you know what I mean, and you know, you're in middle school, elementary school, high school, you know, think about how important it was to have all the new clothes, you know what I mean, all the new Jordans, you know, all, like, people really put such onus on stuff like that, that if you didn't have all that stuff, you might have been able to be in certain circles because of you being a good person, but there were a whole lot of kids that were just ready to write you off just because of the fact that you don't fit into what the norm of what you're supposed to be. Like, we get that ingrained in our minds really early. And I think that it's comical when you just think about how big a piece we try to make fashion, and we try to dress it up in saying be individual, be, you know what I mean, be yourself, but how often do we really celebrate, you know what I mean, the individuals or the people that, you know, dare to be different? Oftentimes, as soon as you see somebody like that, the first thing you're ready to do is cast them out or talk about them, you know what I mean, make them feel like an outcast. You know, we're not bred to want to be different. Everybody is competing at being different versions of the same person. You know what I mean? And that's a subject that I like to point to a lot in my art using fashion.
Right.
You have to be able to see situations, people, and certain elements of society in a way that isn't biased based on what you're supposed to feel, think, or how you're supposed to react. But you need to actually be able to have a realistic perspective of how the world is if you're going to make depictions of it for other people.